Welcome back to the YouTube channel. I'm here to review day 3 of the India and New Zealand Test match, and to me, I've got our usual two guests, Suravia from India, and of course, we know Michael from New Zealand. How are you going, guys?
Great.
Yeah, going
It's
well.
wonderful, and wonderful to meet you again.
You too, Suravia. As always, a pleasure. So we're here to review the day 3. New Zealand came out to bat, and Michael, unfortunately, it was looking good for the first hour. Then Ravi Ashwin turned the game on its head.
I'm not sure it was Ashwin that turned its game on its head. I think it was Axar Patel that really did the damage. But yeah, look, I mean, to go from 195 for 1 to all out for 280 odd, pretty disappointing. But you know that there's always the risk of that with cricket. You know that when you get a spinner and on a turning track against batsmen that are new to the crease, things can go wrong very quickly, and they did.
And Suravia, as Michael probably rightly said, that Axar Patel was the one that did the damage. His short career in India has been unbelievable. He's most likely at this rate going to smash the quickest to 50 Test wickets by matches. What an absolute revelation Axar Patel has been.
Yeah, absolutely. I think he has been the difference for India, because we expected, the Indian team expected that Ashwin will be the main damage. But if you could see that Ashwin and Jadeja both were struggling a bit, to be very fair. Yesterday also they were struggling. But today Ashwin, I guess the pitch also helped a bit, because as we could see that it went up and down after a while. And that where these Indian spinners get very dangerous. So I guess if the opening partnership of New Zealand was not that big, then it would have been even bad, because it was only because of the opening partnership that New Zealand is still in the match, and I guess New Zealand is still very much into the match, because the way the pitch is playing up, I believe this is still a very open match.
Well, it was as you said, Tom Latham batted so well, Michael, but unfortunately, due to the tight bowling from Ashwin, Patel and Jadeja, unfortunately he got bobbed down a bit and probably played a shot that he normally wouldn't play. And unfortunately, the keeper, who's the substitute keeper, took an absolute brilliant take, and Tom Latham unfortunately missed out on his Test match 100 in India.
Yeah, I'm not sure that he was bogged down. He scores at about 30 normally. So what happens in his normal innings, his first 100 balls, he's normally at about 30 after he gets to 100 balls. And then he's normally at about 70 when he gets to 200 balls. He was slightly slower than normal, but not a lot slower than normal. And then he starts to go through the gears. I mean, he quite often he's, in his big scores, he scored at run a ball, from the 300th ball onwards, but he was scoring very slowly until then. So yeah, it's not a massive surprise we went slowly, but what it did do is it sort of set the tone for the rest of New Zealand, and we didn't score enough runs. Like you can't bat for 140 overs and score 280 runs. You just can't do that. If you never ever get on top of the bowling, I remember hearing Jeffrey Boycott talking about the guys facing Nathan Lyon. He said he's a good bowler, but he's not Jim Laker. But they're turning him into Jim Laker by treating him as if he's bowling hand grenades. And if you treat the bowler like they're bowling hand grenades, eventually they'll find a way to get you out. And it felt a little bit like that with guys batting 30 deliveries without scoring a run and things like that. It was just nuts.
What did you make of the bowling performance by India, especially to Ashwin and Jadeja when they tightened the pressure? As Michael said, probably New Zealand should have scored a little bit more freely. So how did you see that with India's bowling, especially their spin?
Yeah, I think what India did was they tried to dry up the runs because the wickets were not coming. And that is where I think New Zealand played the game a little tentatively. I guess when you are in India and you are on top of the Indian bowlers, I think you need to up the run rate because then the Indian captain would have become more defensive. Now, when you become defensive, automatically the pressure loosens a bit. And I guess what New Zealand wanted was a safety first approach, probably because they were about 190 odd for one. And from there, the way the things turned around was quite different. But this kind of dramatic things happens in India. We have seen it with all the touring sides that it turns over. Suddenly, it turns over. But I guess the New Zealand top order means the openers played brilliantly. To be really, Tom Latham definitely deserved 100. I was very shocked to see the way
Yes.
he came out of the wicket to get that shot. It is not like means I was remembering Gautam Gambhir of the 2011 World Cup final. So it was like you have to go to the 100. So somewhere that tentativeness worked. So he doesn't play that kind of shots. So otherwise, I think the Indian spinners, especially Axar, bowled brilliantly. Not very happy with way Isan Sharma and Jadeja bowled. Probably Isan Sharma looks a little undercooked, or probably has not played cricket for a long time. So otherwise, yeah, it was okay. It looks to be a fascinating test match.
And with Michael, I want to talk to you about Kane Williamson. Kane Williamson came out to the crease. For me, I could be wrong here, but he looked a little bit nervous. Looked like he was playing tentatively. Didn't want to play any shots. And then he played that really weird shot. He almost, I think, under-edged it to the keeper. Could have been stumped or caught. For me, Williamson just really wasn't in the game today with his batting.
Yeah, he does it every now and then. Like um, he was 12 off 20, which is a pretty reasonable, strike rate of 60. It's fine. And then he scored 6 runs off the next 44 balls. And he just went into a shell. And I don't understand why he does. Like, there's a point where I do get it. Like he's trying to play each ball on its merits and not trying to. But there's a point where you still have to score. And if you're the big dog, and he's the big dog, you got to bark every now and then. And he's playing like a junior when he's capable of being the boss. And I'd like to see him actually being the boss a bit more.
Yeah, absolutely. And Surav, after lunch, it was the Axar Patel show, as I mentioned earlier, and completely put India into a not dominant position, but a very comfortable position. And the mini claps by New Zealand to lead to give India 50. I think it was exactly a 50-run lead or something.
Yeah.
So for that, as Michael corrected me. So Axar Patel, short career. He's only played this is his 4th Test match, I think.
Yeah.
he's got like 35 wickets. So he absolutely tightened the screws and put the favour towards India big time after lunch.
Yeah, absolutely. I think that period of time, India actually came back to the test match because up to the lunchtime, it was felt like the New Zealand will run away with the show because as you could understand that Tom Latham was batting so well. Williamson always plays well against India. And then you had Ross Taylor. So Ross Taylor, Williamson, they always play brilliantly against India. And they are great players of spin as well. So I think that was a turning period. I think that half an hour to 45 minutes where New Zealand ended up losing 4 wickets. And I think Tom Latham's wicket was a even bigger advantage for India because Tom Latham was about to reach 100. So I think credit goes to Axar Patel, and I think the substitute keeper also kept brilliantly because the catch that he took, that was also very good.
Fantastic.
Yeah, so I think that is something that probably India will be very happy with because with Rishabh Pant, India needs a kind of because Wriddhiman Shah is almost 37 years old, so probably they were looking for a youngster, and I think that was also something that I liked the keeping of KS Bharat.
And New Zealand's middle order, Michael, Ross Taylor, Blundell, really struggled to make any inroads. Blundell in particular, battered, never really got in the game, a lot more defensive. How did you see their middle order struggles after Tom Latham got out?
Well, I mean, I thought Henry Nicholls was very unlucky. I think that was a poor umpiring decision.
Yep.
The fact that it came up and said, umpire's call on hitting in line.
Yeah.
There's no way he could have. I mean, it didn't look like it hit in line. And there shouldn't be an umpire's call for hitting in line. If some of the ball's outside of the line, it should be not out. So I felt like he got very unlucky. But then you go down Blundell. I'm still unconvinced by Blundell as a batsman, and I'm unconvinced by Blundell as a keeper in Asia. I think he's really good in New Zealand conditions, but I mean, we have a wonderful, wonderful keeper who's a wonderful middle order batsman who just happens to also be a very good opener in Tom Latham. And he doesn't like keeping when he's opening, but he's easily the best keeper in New Zealand. He's absolutely wonderful with the gloves. And you just think, maybe if we could find someone else to open and but then, you've got a guy who's 5 times in the last 4 years or last 3 years has batted 250 deliveries. He's seen the second new ball off as an opener. You don't really want to drop him from opening. So, but you look, I'm surprised that Blundell came in before Ravindra. I mean, Ravindra's a batsman who bowls a little bit. Blundell's a wicketkeeper who bats a bit. I mean, they picked him as an opener, but he was never an opener. And I'm surprised that Ravindra didn't come in earlier. Ravindra, I thought, looked quite good. I mean, I
thought he was good, yeah.
You've always got to remember in cricket, there's always a ball that's got your number on it. And if that comes early, then you get out early. You look at the long-term patterns for things, but I thought he looked pretty good when he was there. Blundell looked clueless. He looked double-minded. Didn't know what he should be doing, and so he did nothing. He's got to go out with a clear plan as to where he's going to score his runs.
From one wicket keeper to another, I think excuse me for the pronunciation here, but Baharat, the substitute wicket keeper, was absolutely fantastic for a substitute keeper. And I know in Ranji, his batting ability is pretty good. Some say that he's the best actual batsman wicketkeeper there is going around. But boy, did he make a big statement with the gloves today, especially that stumping, where the ball bounced before he got there and he took it very cleanly. What is your take on this wicketkeeper?
Yeah, I think people who follow the domestic cricket of India, they will know that Bharat's name is going around for the last 2 to 3 years. So, but he never got the chance because Rishabh Pant got that aura about him, that he is a kind of a person who can finish an opposition. So Rishabh Pant graduated into the senior team too quickly. So Bharat did not get a chance. So probably what acted in his favor that in the second part of the IPL, actually Bharat batted very well for RCB. So that actually helped them to push him up. And I think he will be going as the second keeper with Rishabh Pant to South Africa. So he's brilliant. I think he's a very good batsman as well. Rishabh Pant seems to be a little flashy, but he is a solid batsman. So that's an advantage. But I have a question for Michael. Like, I'm not very sure, but Devon Conway is also a wicketkeeper, I guess. So I guess if you go with Blundell, you can get Conway in and he can also keep, I guess.
Devon Conway is a wicketkeeper in the same way that Russian Ravindra is a bowler.
Okay.
That's not fair to Ravindra. Devon Conway is a wicketkeeper in the same way that Glenn Phillips is a bowler. He can do it, and if you have injuries, he's a pretty good guy to fill in. And in a T20 match where your keeper doesn't really matter much, is fine, but you don't want him keeping in a test. You want a good keeper in a test. I've got to say, I do like the way that India are using Pant in outside of Asia and a better keeper to the spin in Asia. I think seeing that as a specialist role keeping in Asia and a specialist role keeping outside of Asia is actually really smart. Where Hunt's ability as a shot as a stopper, for the quick bowlers and judging the distance, he does that stuff really well. He looks a bit shaky against spin, especially for an Indian keeper, who are normally outstanding. Whereas Saha and this new guy look like they really know what they're doing against spin. Perhaps not so good at judging the distance for the quick bowlers. So actually picking a specialist, wonderful to be able to do it. Absolutely top drawer thinking from the coaching team there, and getting someone who's you need someone who's going to be a bit better at batting at number 7 in New Zealand, Australia, England, South Africa. You need someone that can handle the fast bowlers and take it back to them and attack. Great. Number 7 in India, you've got to have a pretty good defensive technique, because you're up against the spinners who are on fire. When you get to number 7, you don't need to have someone that's just going to be block. You don't need a block bash. You need someone that can actually work the ball around. So I think it's a really good move, having that sort of the different selections based on home and away.
And Michael, what do you see in tomorrow on day 4? Now Kyle Jamieson came on, took a wicket first ball to Gill. Obviously, you'd want to see more of that. But what's your absolutely? So what's your thoughts on day 4 tomorrow?
I mean, it really could go any way. This test is a wonderful test. Really, you've got. We're expecting a result. It looks like a result's still likely, but there's still 19 wickets left to go potentially, with only 2 days left. But yet that doesn't seem unrealistic. I think realistically, India are probably going to get about 260 or so, leaving New Zealand 310 to chase on the last day, and New Zealand will crumble for about 120. I think that's the most likely scenario.
We've seen that happen before.
There's 1,000 other possibilities. India could get rolled quickly. Southee or Axar Patel could get on. When he has bowled out a lot of teams in New Zealand domestic cricket. He's been the top wicket taker in the Plunkett Shield about 4 out of the last 6 years, something like that. And when a spinner is the top wicket taker in New Zealand domestic cricket, he's a good bowler. Because the wickets don't really suit it. Give him a wicket that does suit it, no matter how good the batsmen are against spin. When he gets on, he can rip through a team. So there's a chance that he could pick up 6 or 7 quick wickets, and then New Zealand suddenly chasing 140 with a day and a half to go. So there's so many possibilities. It's really intriguing. I'm looking forward to watching it.
And Saurav, final question to you. I didn't mention this yesterday because I had Michael on and I had Hugh on, another New Zealander. But debut 100 of Ayaan, fantastic debut. What did you make of that?
Yeah, fantastic. I think he has been on the fringes of the Indian team for a very long time. And if you progress his career, he should have been in the test team much earlier. But because of the kind of talent India has produced, he never got the chance. So he went through the T20 and ODIs, and then he has reached the test team. But if you look at, you have seen 2 players from India. The senior pros are struggling, like Ajitya Rahane as well as Cheteshwar Pujara. So I think now that he has shown some spark, so hopefully one of them will be replaced.
It certainly put the pressure on.
Oh well, debut 100. There's sky's the limit for him, isn't it? He can only go better from here, as they say. He can only be as good as your last test.
Yeah, well, it can certainly go downhill from here. It's pretty hard to go up. Going down is much easier.
I think he might want to retire and keep that debut 100. Exactly. And just before we go, we will mention this anniversary of Phil Hughes. A very sad, tragic thing that happened in Australia. We are a cricket show, so we're here to pay respects. A very tragic thing that happens, and to Phil Hughes, rest in peace, and to the family. condolences with them as well. Michael, anything to add with that?
That wasn't it just a shocking tragedy? You think cricket's just a game, and it's just horrendous that can happen. But I guess the thing is he died doing what he loves.
Yeah, I think sort of missed that. We paid respects to Philip Hughes, who sadly passed away, and this is his anniversary. Would you like to say anything or have anything to add on that?
Yeah, it was one of the shocking incidents ever. That means in my cricketing audience career, I've never felt of this kind of a scenario. Never even thought that kind of a thing can happen in cricket. But it was one of the most saddest moments that ever had in a cricket field, probably. And I think Indian team was touring Australia at that time.
Yes,
so
that's right.
We were very much involved, like what was happening and all that. So just
exactly right.
Yeah, I think we call it the 63 not out. I think that is how we have been talking about it, and it's a very tragic moment. And all the cricket fans, everybody, are with the family of Philip Hughes, and hope his soul rest in peace.
Absolutely, well said by Michael and Saurav. On that note, thank you everybody. Make sure to like and subscribe. Please watch the channels and follow these guys on Twitter. They love your support. They've got very good knowledge about the game. So please follow them. Michael and Saurav, it's been a pleasure to hear you today and share your opinions about this test match. And we look forward to hear it tomorrow. Thank you for coming, guys.
Yeah, thank you.
Brilliant. Catch you later.
Okay, thank you, guys. That's it for today. Thank you. Like and subscribe. Thank you, guys. Bye.